A long time ago, I made a Death Note tier list ranking every single character, and since then, recently, I actually have revisited Death Note. I binged the entire thing. It's one of the greatest shows of all time, by the way, but I wanted to circle back over to my character rankings over here because last time around, I ended up ranking characters based on how much I like them personally. Like, hey, I can't bring myself to like somebody like Light, for example, and how he turned into a complete sociopath, things like that. Since then, I've kind of changed how I've been making tier list ranking videos, and it's not based on how much I personally would like these characters, but how interesting they are. I'm ranking them objectively as characters. How intrigued was I when watching these characters on screen, and that's how we're going to be ranking these characters today. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's get started with the first character, that being Aizawa. And it's a little bit difficult with these guys because, of course, our main characters were the ones with the most spotlight. I think Aizawa got a lot better with time, and I really liked when he started working with Nier and got suspicious of Light. That's when his character kind of got boosted up a little bit, in my opinion, but there never really was any sort of like substance to anything that he did aside from that little bit at the end. So I'm going to start Aizawa off over into the B tier. Now let's continue on to Higuchi. I actually liked his story. We unfortunately only saw a little bit of it, but I liked that he had to, you know, kind of play like he wasn't Kira, but he was talking to Kira. I loved the small relationship he had with Misa. It was really fun to watch, and when he was Kira, I really enjoyed watching him on screen. I might end up moving him down depending on who else I'm going to put into the A tier, but I'm going to put him into the A tier starting it off, okay? And something I probably should have mentioned is we're not having any characters that really aren't worth talking about. I know there are some, like, main characters, people like Light's mom that are missing. There's no point in ranking them, okay? Let's continue on to Kiyomi Takeda. And actually, loved her as a character. I thought she added a lot with Light pretending to be in a relationship with her, you know, bickering with Misa. I liked the trio when Light started expanding his Kira powers. Everything there, and so one of my actual unpopular opinions about Death Note is I like Death Note the entire way through. I liked the story with Nier. I was almost as invested with that as I was L. I found it interesting that Light was getting more arrogant, you know? I think she was a great character. You know, I already have in mind who I'm going to put in S, so I think for that reason, I'm going to put her in the A tier. Oh, but the problem is Higuchi wasn't as interesting, so I'm going to move him down. B tier, okay? Of course, let's continue on over to L. We'll talk about both L and Light, guys. These are the two main characters of Death Note. Their back and forths were phenomenal. Getting into their heads were great. The story of L trying to catch Kira, his motivations for doing so, Light, everything that he did with the Death Note, all of it. Every single little bit of dialogue that these two had were incredible. It's some of the best writing that you'll ever see, in my opinion. Both characters are absolutely going into the S tier. I will say, though, of course, Light being the main character, I found it more fascinating how Light continuously got overconfident and fell more and more into a sociopathic role. So I'm going to put Light ahead of L, but both of these characters are absolutely in the S tier. How could they not be, okay? Let's continue on over to Matsuda. Out of everyone working with the police force, you know what? I want to say that he's the most interesting. You know what I loved about Matsuda is at the end, he was actually the one to start shooting at Light after being the guy who admired Light the entire time. But really, that's no reason for me to rank him any higher. I'm going to put him right behind Aizawa because I was actually more interested in Aizawa and what he was doing when he started turning on Light than anything like, you know, that Matsuda was a part of. That's our Light! Let's go Light! Light's the man! He's so awesome! You get my point, okay? Let's continue on over to Mello. I don't think he was as deep as a bunch of other characters. But then again, whenever he was present, I was interested in what he was doing. He was just a lot more aggressive, and it was kind of like not exactly the Death Note way. He would start shooting people. He would start, you know, kidnapping people. He'll do anything by any means necessary. And I know L was kind of like that as well, but you get my point. He was a lot more aggressive. We didn't really see the intellectual battle with Mello than we did with Light, L, and Nier. So I liked him a little bit less for that reason because of the state of the show that he's in. But I'm still going to put him into the A tier. I'm going to put him behind Takeda, okay? Let's continue on to Mikami. I thought he was good, but nothing crazy. His backstory, it made sense for everything, honestly. I get his reasonings, and I get why he's working with Kira, and he did a good job. But I would say most of Mikami's story was him kind of just oh God. And I got to do this. I got to write names. I got to go to the gym, and then I got to go to the bank. I was interested in what's going on with him. Don't get me wrong. And I was interested in probably every single character that we're going to talk about. But I was a little bit less interested in him, okay? I'm going to put Mikami into the B tier. You know what? I'm going to put him right in front of Aizawa. Because I thought the story over here was a lot better than anything that Mikami was doing personally. Let's continue on to Misa. Actually, I love Misa as a character. I love, like, here's the thing. She would be an obnoxious girl to be around, right? Obviously. You know, like, all, you know how she is. And she has, like, that typical anime girl, you know, annoyance that we have. But I love the character that she is because of who she's with and the circumstances that she's in. You have this character who is so loud, obnoxious, not careful, and overly obsessed with Light. All of that was really fun because Light's so particular and so careful about everything that he's done throughout the show. And then you have Misa coming in, just interrupting all of that in the name of love. And let's go on a date, Light! For that reason, I really like her, and I thought that she fit very, very, very well into the show. On top of that, when Misa first came onto the scene, with Rem, with the eyes, the difference in skill level that she ended up adding to the entire series was great to watch. I love when she was actually working for Light as well. She's a great character, and I'm putting her into the A tier because I don't think anybody can match Light and L, to be honest with you. Now, guys, let's continue on over to Mogi over here, and I believe this is the first character that we'll have to throw into the NA. There's nothing that I can rank him. There's nothing that I can rank him on, but something that I can rank is Ray Pember's wife. For the short time that we did see her, guys, I loved that story. One of my favorite in Death Note, very, very underrated, was the story with Ray following Light, what happened with the bus, and then the girl who worked under Light, I'm sorry, her name was Naomi, something like that. I'm sorry, all I remember is Ray's wife, and which kind of goes against what I'm saying, to be honest with you, because I just talked about how interested I was. But to be fair, he said her name like one time. But anyways, I loved the story. I loved how Light like couldn't attack her, and he was just, you know, panicking, trying to not get her to go to the police station. That entire episode that she was in was so tense. I love the build up to it. I think she's great. I'm going to put her into the A tier. I'm actually, and I don't know if anybody would agree with me, I know that she had less screen time. I'm ranking these characters based on how invested I was when they were present on screen. I'm putting her in front of Mello into the A tier, okay? Let's continue on to Nier. Not as good as L, but it's still really good. You know, he kind of like built on a lot of what L did, understandably so. He was just a second L, and in my opinion, unfortunately, not as good as L, but he was still very, very good. I'm going to put Nier. This is tough. You know what? I'm going to put Nier into the A tier. I'm going to put him ahead of Misa because he kind of implemented what L did. And again, how I was supremely interested whenever he was around figuring things out. Let's continue on over to Ray Pember himself. A little bit more of the same. I found the story with her a little more interesting than the story with Ray alone, but I love the whole thing with Ray following Light. I'm actually going to put him, though, into the B tier. I'm going to knock him down. No, I don't know, man, because I loved it. Like, everything with the subway, it was really good. Really, really good. I'm going to... This is tough, man. I'm going to put him right ahead of Mikami. Okay, now let's continue on over to Rem and Ryuk. I feel like we could rank them a little bit similarly together because the aspect of the Shinigami and, you know, their rules, them bringing down the notebook, it's what made the story as interesting as it was. I liked how much Rem really hated Light and wanted to protect Misa, fell in love with Misa. I loved how much Ryuk was just a spectator of the whole thing, laughing, loving apples. He was actually like the perfect comedy relief. I liked Ryuk more than I liked Rem, but Rem brought her own real interesting, you know, twist to the story. Not letting Light just sacrifice Misa and forcing her to take her under his wing. I think it's a really, really good character, both of them. I'm going to put Ryuk... I'm going to put Ryuk right ahead of Misa, and I'm going to put Rem right behind Takeda. I think that's fair for both of them. I didn't expect this tier list to go this way, and I would have made it a little bit bigger if it was just going to be S, A, and B, to be honest with you. But let's continue on to Sayu. We're going to throw her into the NA as well. We didn't really get much besides her literally being Light's sister. And finally, well, not quite finally yet, Light Yagami's father, Sorichio Yagami. Unfortunately, he's going to have to go into the B tier as well. He was just a regular policeman, but he was Light's father, and that's the only thing that really made him interesting. He had some good moments. Now, you know what? I'm kind of second-guessing myself. I like how he was against everything. I liked how moral he was. I liked that, his death was really, really rough. What am I saying? He's a little bit better. I'm kind of second-guessing myself over here. I would put him into the B tier, right at the top of B tier. Top of B tier, okay? Watari. We're going to have to throw him into the NA as well. We didn't really get any information from him whatsoever. But every single character from Death Note, guys, was really, really good. With Light and L being at the top, and Matsuda being at the bottom, with keeping in mind that it's a B tier, and B tier is still a good character. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you want to hear my review for the entirety of Death Note, then check it out right here. I would love to have you over there. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Take care, everybody.